Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is retesting a critical level on the price chart as Michael Saylor just announced that MicroStrategy bought another $5.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside the fact that Bitcoin is still struggling around that all-important 100K level, but in the short term is now flashing a new bullish divergence. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, taking a look at the Bitcoin news today, because just a few hours ago, Michael Saylor announced that MicroStrategy just bought another 55,500 Bitcoin for around $5.4 billion US dollars. And so as of right now, MicroStrategy is currently holding around 386,700 Bitcoin that they acquired for nearly 22 billion US dollars for an average price of around 56.7K per Bitcoin. So obviously that amount of Bitcoin that they're currently holding is currently worth a lot more than what they bought it for. And so obviously this tells us that one of the largest Bitcoin whales in the world, MicroStrategy, is continuing to buy more and more Bitcoin whenever they can, whenever they get some spare cash on hand. They basically just pump that into Bitcoin. And just for perspective, there's currently around 450 Bitcoin that's actually mined per day. So this single purchase by MicroStrategy of 55,500 Bitcoin equates to around 123 days worth of Bitcoin mining. So around 4 months worth of Bitcoin mining is this one single purchase right here. And so the current demand for Bitcoin is far outpacing the newly printed supply of Bitcoin, the newly mined Bitcoin that's coming into circulation. So ultimately, this will force the price of Bitcoin towards the upside over the longer term, because it's simple supply and demand economics. When there's less and less supply to go around and more demand after that reduced supply, of course, that will force the price upwards. But a lot of people are wondering why this did not spike the price instantly as soon as it happened, and that's simply due to the fact that large players like MicroStrategy, when they buy massive amounts of Bitcoin like this, they do it over the counter. So they don't actually buy it on the spot market, for example, they actually buy it over the counter, which essentially means it doesn't immediately impact the price of Bitcoin, because they essentially do it off the books. They basically just make a transfer between two parties, for example. But as I said earlier, this will still force the price of Bitcoin towards the upside over the long term if we continue to see this massive demand, because ultimately, while we're seeing these huge purchases, obviously at some point, the over-the-counter, the OTC desks will actually run out of Bitcoin themselves. And so the beauty of Bitcoin being a scarce asset, a fixed supply, ultimately, if we see huge demand, at some point, they will have to come into the open market and buy up Bitcoin to replenish the OTC desks, which will force the price of Bitcoin towards the upside over the long term, while we're seeing these huge demands, these huge purchases right here. But with that being said, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, as of right now, we're still playing out a huge bull market signal, despite the little short-term pullback that we're seeing on small time frames right now. So as I always say, even during a larger bull market, we can see little pullbacks in the short term along the way. That's perfectly normal to see even during a bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we're still seeing a lot of bullish momentum in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And the last time we saw this signal confirm in the weekly Bitcoin MACD was around October 2023. And what we saw was a huge bull run in the price of Bitcoin for the next half a year or so. And it's only been around 1 to 2 months since this signal confirmed. So we're still due to see a huge bull run for many months from now. But it's worth pointing out that in that last bull run that we saw back here near the end of 2023, entering into the start of this year, around halfway through that bull run right here, we did see a period of basically a sideways consolidation and even a little bit of a pullback during that bull run. And so I'm simply just pointing that out because, once again, it's very normal to see these little pullbacks or sideways consolidations along the way during a larger bull run. So as of right now, the bull run is still intact. We're just seeing a bit of a short-term pullback, at least at the moment. And if we're taking a look at this 4-day time frame, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bullish market. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is retesting this previous 1618 Fibonacci extension, which is sitting at around 94 to 95,000. And this is currently acting as a bit of short-term support. So once again, that is the support to pay attention to here in the short term at around 94 to 95,000, that price range. But if we were to see a break back below 94 to 95,000 with candle closes back below around 94,000, then in that case, we could drop back down towards around 88 to 89,000, because around there, just underneath 90,000, we also have a decent amount of support. And so once again, the immediate support to focus on is 94 to 95,000. But if that level does not hold, then expect to pull back down towards around 89,000 approximately as a likely scenario here in the short term. And once again, I just want to reiterate the fact that even if we see a pullback all the way back down towards 89,000, which is not guaranteed, but even if we see that, we can still remain within a larger bull market, because once again, we can see pullbacks during a bull market. And with that being said, if you want to trade these moves and maximize your profits in crypto during this bull market, personally, I take most of my trades over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a 500 USDT position airdrop. So basically a free $500 trade as your first trade over on Bybit, but that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there's also BTNX, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for BTNX, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access BTNX. So I'll also leave a link to BTNX below this video. And if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the BTNX exchange forever. But that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your BTNX account. So as another option out there other than Bybit, one that you can access from the US, once again, there's BTNX, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we still have a lot of resistance based on this 1618 Fibonacci extension on the weekly time frame at around 100,000 to 102,000 approximately. So right around there, expect resistance. And obviously, we've rejected from very close to 100,000, at least in the short term, because that is a strong psychological level of resistance. And of course, as I've been talking about over the last few days here on the channel, this is not the first time we've seen a rejection in the price struggle around a critical psychological level of resistance. Because if we're looking just 4 years ago in the price of Bitcoin, pretty much exactly 4 years ago to this day, around November, December 2020, we were seeing very similar price action around the 20k price level. And so essentially at this point, we were already entering into a bull market coming up to that 20k price level around 4 years ago, just like how right now we're already in a bull market entering into that 100k price level right here. But we're seeing a lot of struggle around that 100k level, just like what we saw 4 years ago, a lot of struggle right underneath that 20k level. And so everyone at that time 4 years ago was focusing on $20,000 per Bitcoin and therefore taking profits or selling just before 20,000 because so many people were looking at that level. So it was creating a psychological level of resistance. And it's the exact same thing this time around, but at 100,000 rather than 20,000. And we're also seeing a pullback in this RSI, as we can see, telling us that we're losing bullish momentum just in the short term. But technically speaking, we can still remain within the larger bull market because we saw the exact same thing around 4 years ago. The price lost bullish momentum in the short term, saw a few pullbacks here, struggled for quite a bit for a few days, even up to a few weeks here. But ultimately, we saw a breakout and continued the larger bull market because on the larger time frames, we're still looking bullish. And that's the same story here as well. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at this 1 hour Bitcoin chart, as of recording this video, we're potentially flashing a new bullish divergence with the price forming lower lows and the RSI still currently forming higher lows. But at least for now, we still need to see a bit more confirmation to actually confirm this possible new bullish divergence on the 1 hour time frame. Because as you can see, as of recording this video, we're still actually finding this next low in the price of Bitcoin right here, which means we still are yet to confirm the higher low in place in the RSI. And so for now, this is something to just pay attention to, nothing to really act on as of right now because it's not fully confirmed, but it's possibly forming. So if it confirms, if we actually see a strong bounce here, forming basically this higher low and confirming the higher low in place in the RSI, then in that case, that will confirm the bullish divergence, which would mean we're due to see a bit of a sideways consolidation or a slight bullish relief for maybe 1 to 2 days, because this is only on the 1 hour time frame. But once again, this still needs to be confirmed. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we still have a lot of liquidity building right at around that 100K level. More specifically, at around 99.7K, we have a massive amount of liquidity building at that level. And then also just above $100,000, we have more liquidity. So what that means, in case you're new to all of this, is if the price of Bitcoin breaks out above around $100,000, that will likely trigger another short squeeze, pushing the price much, much higher. But for now, just in the short term, and most likely for the next few days, maybe even up to a week or two, in the short term, once again, we're due to see a bit of a slowdown, maybe a continued pullback or sideways consolidation, similar price action to what we saw back here underneath that 100K level before we eventually gear up for that breakout at some point later on to continue the larger bull market. And once again, if you want to trade those moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.